morning. My name is Femi Akonde, and the program is This Morning. You're welcome. Well, this morning we're talking a writer's thoughts on change. That would form our subject matter today. And of course, the writer of this book, The Change We Need, is with us right here in the studio. He is Dr. Luke Onyekakea. Did I get that right, sir?
You got it.
Okay, Dr. Luke Onyekakea is a member of the editorial board of The Guardian newspaper. We also have Chuks. He is a publisher. He's a publisher of this book. And we also have Chuks Nwoko. He is a public affairs analyst. Good morning, sir, and welcome to the program. Yes, sir. Your book, The Change We Need. What change are we talking about at this time that you have also, this critical time that you have also described as injury time in our country's political scene?
Thank you very much. The change we need is referring to Nigeria as a country. And so, we are looking at a situation where the condition in which we are now gets better. So everything about life and living borders on change and development. No living thing stays static without change, without development. And so the idea that Nigeria needs to change for better is a burning issue. Is in the forefront, is in the front burner right now. And there is a common understanding or a common agreement that this country has not done better or has not done well as it ought to. And so there is need for this change. That is the idea behind this book. So then you now talk of change, the change we need. We have seen some changes since independence, but those changes have not gotten us to the point or to where we ought to stay or where we ought to be as a nation, compared with other, countries that started with us. So we are saying that there is certain things that we should do as a country that should bring us to the proper place, the right place, so that we can, compare favorably with other countries. At what point would we get to, or at what path do you want the country to be on that we would now safely say that, yes, we are maybe on that path to making or achieving that change we need? Now, change, let me look at it. Let me bring up a model that was developed by an economist called, an American economist called W.W. Rostow. He proposed what he called, stages for economic development. And he has 5 stages of it. He has the traditional stage, he has the pre-industrial stage, or the transitional stage. Then he has the stage for takeoff. Then a stage of maturity, and then the 5th is state of mass consumption, mass production. Now, if you use this model, I've tried to look at it and I discover that Nigeria, based on the characteristics in each stage, Nigeria is still at the traditional state. Most of the things happening around us have not deviated much from what we know in our traditional societies. Let nobody be deceived by what is happening in Lagos and, may say, Abuja. If you go to the larger society countryside, you see that people are still living in the traditional way. People are still, doing farming, subsistence farming. People are still doing hunting and gathering. People are still, majority of the people are not educated, then not to talk of industrialization and so on and so forth. These are the things that, put a country to a point where we can now say that this country is in a transition for take off for change.
Okay, let me let Chuks Nwoko weigh in on this. Chuks Nwoko is also the publisher of the Millennium Development Goals magazine, Absolutely. And of course also a public affairs analyst. Now, that word change, you know, it became very popular in Nigeria's political scene in events leading to the 2015 general election, and of course after that election. The word change has been abused, misinterpreted, misconceived also by many. And we're talking about the change we need. In your own view, what is that change we need?
The change that we need is already what, like you said, going towards 2015, a particular political party made it a slogan. And I was here that year for a particular edition of this event, and I was saying, oh, that slogan was well researched to enable the opposition face the PDP government as we were at the time, and it worked for them. And to date, I believe it was well researched because everybody agreed with the fact that there was change. What happened was that there was no proper mobilization.
Everybody agreed with the fact that there was need for change.
Now, what we were not ready for was the meaning, deeper meaning, the associates or the concomitant consequences of change. Change is a very difficult thing to deal with. Now, unfortunately for us going forward and up to where we are right now, we haven't come to understand the ramifications of change. Change is not an easy thing. And like I said here that day, just a few months to the election, that you and I will have changed, Femi. You and I have changed. The environment has changed. Society has changed. It was in this country that I was when I heard late Umaru Diko say, oh, Nigerians are complaining, yet nobody has been saying, paraphrasing what he said, eating from the dustbin. And things has always been difficult. Femi, there was a time in this Lagos, I lived in Pangrove area, I would take 50 naira and walk down to the bus stop. And with 50 naira, I could buy 5, 4, 3 newspapers. Things have changed. Now, there's this king, this man in UAE, who said that any leader who sits down and is mounting change, without recognizing what needs to be done to effect a change, he is doing what he calls wishful thinking. I'm talking about Mohammed Al Maktoum of UAE. The change that we need, specifically in Nigeria, we need to go back and recognize, like he said, Dr. Luke said, nations that we got independence with, that have left us behind. Now, if you calculate the time in terms of quantum, I can categorically tell you that Nigeria is 1,000 years behind. Now, what you will need to do to let us catch up, remember what I said? I said Nigeria is 1,000 years behind. Now, for us to catch up, you need to develop the mentality of the people. You need to get Nigerian, there's an agency that does mobilization of masses.
National Orientation Agency.
Absolutely. National Orientation Agency. They need, I've said it here, but I'm not seeing and hearing anything. They need to mobilize Nigerians to understand the meaning of, I think somebody has also done something. I have been hearing the change begins with me. And I like that too. That change is very important if Nigeria is going to make the required progress. Otherwise, what needs to happen is that when your laptop or your computer is giving you problems, what do you do with it? You turn it off by force and you reboot it. Before we get to that point, we need to recognize, number one, that we are behind 1,000 years. If you compare our nation to a country like Singapore that came here in 1962 to come and observe the tremendous steps and progress that we're making at the time, they have left us behind. Go to Malaysia, go to Taiwan, go to UAE, go and see what other nations are. But what we have done in the last how many years, let me be kind to us, in the last 20 years, is that we have allowed unproductive politics to take our time, harvest our brain. We're not making progress as we were. So we're just constantly discussing what politicians are saying, and they're not the ones making a harvest of 80% of our income and leaving the population, the massive population, with just 20% of what we earn. We need to change the way we think. That is the beginning of my contribution to the program, that we're 1,000 years behind. We need to change our attitude because we face adversity right now. And adversity in itself is not a bad thing.
All right. The type of change we need, you know, after the 2015 election, of course, it came and it was peaceful, and the government that's came into power and using the mantra of change, of course, was elected, duly elected. And one thing that change, wind of change did was it blew away the PDP government, but it also blew our way some other things. People would say some other kind of difficulties. The country went into recession. Of course, we were able to exit recession at the end of the day, but security challenges here and there, some kind of economic hardship for a lot of people. And some people say, come on, this is not the change we need. What would you say about that?
Sure. Now, everybody in Nigeria, as I said, is conscious of the need for change. And it's like a situation where somebody is sick, and the person knows he's sick, and people around him know that this man or this woman is sick. Now, having diagnosed the sickness, the next thing is, what do we do to cure this person, to get him well again? Now, like my colleague here has said, Nigeria is 1,000 years, according to him, behind. Now, it's a recognition that we have not done well. Then the question is, what do we do to meet up, to come to the level we are supposed to be? And that is the crux of this book. Now, for me, I think I have always, there's what I call, or I say that Nigeria is suffering from secondary economic underdevelopment. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is, this country started well in 1960 after independence. This country started well. There were 4 regions, or 3 regions in 1960. By 1963, we have the 4th one, Midwest. Then each of these regions was doing well. There was competition, and each region capitalized or maximized its own comparative advantage. In the East, palm oil, palm produce, and the rest of them. In the West, cocoa production and the rest of them. The West was the first region in Africa that had a TV station. It wasn't a federal government something. This Western region built a skyscraper in Ibadan, the Cocoa House. It wasn't from the federal government. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is that all of us know that we have not done well. Now, we started well 1960 because of the structure. The change we need borders on structure of the country. We started well structurally with regions, and those regions were doing well until 1966, when there was a coup. Now, that coup truncated that political economic structure that was booming that time. Unfortunately, states were created. And let me put it squarely here that the states we have today, they were not created for economic development. The states we have today, when the federal government, when the war broke out in 1967, and the federal government created 12 states, the creation of state was not meant to develop Nigeria. It was a war strategy.
But from all you're saying, like where we got it wrong, yes. When the states were created, all these things were not done by we, the people.
Yes.
The problem was leadership. So that's why some people think that it's uncharitable to say change begins with me, because it seems that Nigerians are actually ready to change, and what they need to lead them on would be leadership. And here you talked about vision and leadership. So would you say now that that leadership has been provided to actually drive Nigeria through that path of change?
That's what I was coming to, the point I was coming to. I said, we know we have a problem. The question now is, what do we do? I wanted to start with saying that the structure that was truncated in 1966 has remained like that up to today. It has not changed. And until we come back to that structure, if we remain at this plane, we're not going anywhere. If we remain at this plane where everything is at Abuja, where every state has to go to Abuja to get money, to come back and use, then we are moving nowhere. So we have to get to a stage where the regions, as I said, from 1960, they were capitalizing on whatever resources they had, and they were doing well with it. So that is number one. The structure has to change. Then what will bring about this structural change is leadership, like you said. Leadership is critical. Unfortunately, Nigeria has not had the kind of leadership we should have that should propel this country to do well. There are several examples. My friend mentioned, Malaysia and some other countries. The man in Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew, was somebody who came up at a stage and decided to change things. Singapore was an agrarian economy before he came. And what happened? He started to do it. So the issue of leadership cannot be left out. I was in Japan myself. I lived and worked in Japan. And my boss, he took me and showed me mud houses. He said, these are the houses their fathers, their forebearers lived. They left some of them. So I now say, what made Japan to become what it is today? And he said, education. He said at a point, the country, the leadership decided that every Japanese must be educated. It's a must, it's mandatory. They said, if you are not educated, if you don't go to school, you are not a Japanese. This is about 100 years ago. And so if you get to Japan today, you see a 100-year-old person. You see that he's an engineer, he's a PhD holder. He will tell you he graduated from University of Tokyo or any other, Osaka or any other place. So what are we saying? There has to be the right leadership that should propel development. The greatest asset any country, anybody has is the human capacity. If the human capacity is not there, then we'll just be, like my colleague also said, we'll be every day we discuss what this politician has said this politician has said this one has attacked this man, this one has bombed this man, and it's taking us nowhere. So we need a fundamental structural change. We need a change that will enable the people to utilize the resources, God-given resources that are lying fallow.
Talking about leadership, Chuks, of course, when we talk about leadership in this part of the country, the first leader that comes to mind, everyone will say the president. Mm-hmm. But, you know, he's got ministers, there are state governors, local government chairmen. If you would, and of course, you know, like a lot of them have also, one way or the other, keyed into that change agenda that brought this government to power. But looking at all, like, let's do an assessment of it now.
Look, Femi, we're completely not getting it right. You see, the danger that we face is, you know, shrouded in this discussion, and it pisses me off. I am shocked to my marrows that as we sit down and speak, we do not recognize that Nigeria's problem does not reside in what you and I describe as leadership. Leadership has since changed. If you're not observant, from people who are in the front, leadership is now from the back. In 2006, I went to Delta State to go and contest governorship election. It wasn't because I was going to win. I thought that what was going on here at the time in Lagos that I saw in Sheraton, where there was governorship election coming up in Lagos, and you had all kinds of people coming to participate by coming to debate. And I knew that if I had a debate with those guys, they did not stand any chance. I had ideas, I had everything, even though I didn't have the money. I went to Delta State in 2006. It was while I was there, I had, you know, something inside me telling me that what you are trying to achieve, you do not need to be elected into a political office to achieve it. I came back to Lagos in 2008. And for the first time in my life, I organized the Compassionate Prize. I became a leader. Not only did I become a leader socially, I recognize I'm a very strong leader at home. And that's what we need. Nigerians haven't come to the point where they can recognize that leadership is no longer your president or your governor or your local government chairman. It is you and I. What do you do at home? You're a married man, aren't you? Don't you have children? How do you lead your family? How do you lead in your community? Leadership has since moved. And I'm shocked that we're still discussing Buhari and all that. Who is Buhari in the next few months or highest, another 1 term? He's out of the place. True. Who is going to take over from him? What is his thinking like? What leadership has he provided? You don't have to be a president or governor to be a leader. I have been providing leadership at the level of owning a platform called the Compassionate Prize, where every year we recognize people who recognize that leadership is about compassion. Look, let me tell you the other problem that we have. We have followership problem in Nigeria. Very big followership problem. We don't know how to follow. We just desire to lead. Now, if you find anyone emerging from the population in 2019, it's the same problem that he's going to have. Criticisms, abuses, and all kinds of things. Right now, we suffer from a disease that I call Southern disease.
Southern disease. Southern disease.
For me, what is Southern disease is the name that I call it. Inside this Southern disease, there are many members. You have hatred. You have our people who just hate somebody because he's a Northerner or he's a Fulani or he's a whatever, and they just abuse and talk. And I'm wondering, what type of spirit is that? As a Christian, I don't carry that type of spirit. Oh, you speak to your fellow Nigerians by calling them Aboki, Malam, and all. And you say it to despise them. And I just think there's something wrong with us. Because in a place where you also want to lead, you despise your fellow human beings because they are not from your region and all that and all that. And I pity the man who is going to become the next president if Buhari is defeated and all that. But the point that I'm making is that let's put our problems in context. We need to change the way we think. We need to change the way we act. We must see Nigeria first. So that when you find a leader, do you understand? You will follow. The examples that me and him agree on here is the Singapore guy. They practiced a modernized whatever that suited them. It wasn't a full-blown democracy. Our democracy is American whole. The confusion in America is what has gotten here. So CNN is abusing Trump. We too have learned how to abuse our president. If you include our culture in our democracy by modifying a little bit, you don't abuse people who are older than you. You don't love Buhari more than Nigeria. You don't love Nigeria more than Buhari loves Nigeria. Now, if I may ask him, he's from, when we were coming to the studio, I quietly asked him where he's from. He said Imo State. And I said, I know a little bit about Imo State. Nobody is questioning Anayo Okorocha. It's Buhari. I'm from Delta State. In 1999, when democracy came to Nigeria, Delta State happened to be the richest state. The number of oil wells, the amount of income that accrued to Nigeria and to that state, and River State, what happened? Who has questioned the guys that were in charge in that place? Nobody. It's Buhari. It's Abuja. The structure that you want to change, it does not guarantee anything. I'm not against you want or desiring to restructure, but he didn't have restructure to go to school. It was not the government of his state that sent him to school. School and sending your children to school was an innate thing that was in us by illiterate parents wanting their children to be like the next guy who is in the city. What is all this about restructuring education government? You and I we are government. I have to provide education for my children by sending them to school. By the grace of God, I have 2 graduates in my house. It is not your governor that sent you to school. Sure. Now, when Nigeria was good and all, a lot of people went to school with scholarship and all that and all. They were born at a certain time. They enjoyed the benefit of a buoyant nation and all that. But we're no longer buoyant. Democracy that you so desire, we now have it. The consequences is what we're dealing with. Let's tell ourselves the truth. Outside of the army, Nigeria wouldn't have developed to where it is today. The politicians have not been able to effect even ordinary state creation. All they just do is sit and share our money. And we are abusing leadership. We are not looking at our contribution.
To leadership.
Democracy has not done us any good. But the Russians have found out that, look, this democracy, we're not going to buy whole. We're going to practice well. And Putin is there doing what he's doing. The Japan that he went to, he talked about. Look, Japan is an ideas country. They don't have any extractive products. So they enjoy what they have. And all the marginalization they face in that country called Japan, nobody is hearing it. They face environmental marginalization with all the tsunami and flood and all that and all that. and they have a dangerous neighbor in North Korea. They are not complaining. What do they do in Japan? Ideas. That's what they use in developing their country. So if the government says, oh, all Japanese must go to school, my parents didn't need to hear that to send me to school. They were determined to send me to school. And I'm sure that's what happened to you. And in Imo State, you have the highest number of literate people, because if you go there, I was telling him, I know that in Owerri, you have the largest number of local newspapers. It's just, they write about government, do all kinds of things. They didn't need government to force them to go to school. Schooling and going to school was something that we embrace. I'm just saying that we need to change our thinking and do what is proper.
Okay. Yeah. I want to bring you back to your book now. You're talking about the change we need, and you also talked about when this government came on board, one thing that was big on was anti-corruption. And you were trying to do a comparison between fighting corruption and corrupt people. Are they two different things now?
Yes. There's a difference between fighting corruption and fighting corrupt people.
So as we have it now, what are we doing?
As we are now, what we're fighting corrupt people. We're not fighting corruption.
Is there a danger in fighting corrupt people?
Yes, there's a danger. The reason is, in fact, I call this, fighting corrupt people, I call it catch the rat method. It's a catch, you set a trap for a rat. Once the rat goes there, the trap will catch it. If the trap is not there, the rat will roam about and eat whatever. And then it depends again on who is setting the trap. If there's nobody to set the trap, the rats will infest the place and roam about. So the reason for me to, differentiating between fighting corrupt people and then fighting corruption is this. We need to institute structures that will fight corruption, not targeted on any person, but targeted on, making the society better. But a situation where, there is hype in saying, oh, this person has been arrested and is detained or is imprisoned, or, for 2 days, 3 days, after 3 or 4 days, he comes out. And that's the end of it. Since this democracy started in 1999, virtually all the governors have been accused of corruption in one way or the other. But how many of them have been put behind bars? Virtually none. And so, something like, there's this thing called TSA.
Treasury
Single Account, which the Buhari government came and, adopted it. Do you know that Treasury Single Account is in the Constitution? It has been there. The Jonathan administration tried it, experimented on it, and through it, they were able to realize a lot of money that was, frittered away. And then they stopped it. Then it is the Buhari administration that came and kind of instituted it, which now made it impossible for people, especially in MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies, that were getting money and they were not sending it to anybody. They were, whoever was the managing director used the money. Those things have been reduced drastically through the Treasury Single Account. So if TSA can be strengthened, it is a tool for fighting corruption. It's not targeted on anybody. If it is instituted and made strong, it's something that is used to plug leaking holes and the rest of them, leakages. So it's not targeted at anybody. So that if you're now the MD of government department A and you are making money, you are now required every day you bring whatever you have realized and go and pay it into a certain account. Unlike before, I worked in a government agency whereby, I'm not going to mention anybody's name or any agency, the managing director never sent 1 kobo to Abuja. All the money he was using to himself. But that kind of thing cannot happen under this TSA now. So that's the kind of thing I'm thinking, or you know, what I mean by fighting corruption. Unlike fighting corrupt people, you are chasing Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C.
All right then. I will go on a quick break at this point, and when we return, we'll continue with the rest of the program. We'll still have Dr. Luke Onyekakeya and Chuks Nwoko with us discussing the topic, the change we need. Don't go away, we'll be right back. You're welcome back. The program is still This Morning, and we're looking at a writer's thoughts on the change we need. All right, Chuks, let me come to you. He was, before we went on the break, we were talking about the whole fight against corruption, fighting corruption or fighting corrupt people. And we see that, like I earlier said, that this government has been big on their anti-corruption campaign. But from your own point of view now, how would you describe or how do you assess this anti-corruption campaign? Because we've not seen any conviction, even though they want to tell us that it has been so successful so far.
Well, I believe that it's been so successful. If government, that's what I was talking about, being good followers. Like I was asking, if you're a husband and your family do not follow you, you know, you make this change, they decide, your madam says no, and you're not going to have a happy home. You know, you're not going to have, you won't make the necessary progress. I think that followers, as citizens, it's our responsibility to be good followers. If government came to you and said, we are going to fight corruption, as a mantra for the whatever, it's my responsibility to follow them, because it doesn't have to be a perfect fight or whatever, but that's what this man says he wants to do. If you think otherwise, I think you need to go and contest election and defeat him and do your stuff the way you want to do it. But this is the first time that a government is coming to power and he says, look, I'm sorry, it was not Buhari that was the first person. If you listen to Obasanjo's speech on the day he was sworn in 1999 in Lagos Square, you would go and listen to his statements. But he gave us his best. But you know that it wasn't a perfect situation. This man also came and says he's going to lose, and he's taking it to another level. Now, it's not until you find people behind bars that is not putting people behind bars that say prove that you're winning a war. In the United States of America, they have a system where there are some people that are called too big to jail. And what they mean by that? It's a system that the persecutors in the American court uses to allow for you the money you have stolen to be retrieved from you.
Is that plea bargaining?
Exactly. They also have plea bargaining, but there's just a phenomenon where it's just the persecutor who is interested in, like, this guy is too big. All we can just do is let's settle out of court, and it becomes a common phenomenon in the environment where people are companies are sued and all that. And people don't like going to court because of the cost of going to court. So they just settle. Michael Jackson did it. People are sometimes accused, rightly or wrongly, and all that. This man says he is going to fight. That's what. So anybody who feels otherwise, he feels otherwise. I'm hoping that he will be able to challenge him in this election. If he wins, let him do what he wants to do, where he will allow the cat to filter the place, but he will remove those things that are attracting the rats. And all. If that's what he wants to do, then he will do it. It will be our responsibility at the time to follow him. But there's a responsibility that you and I owe Nigeria, that if we go out there to go and elect somebody and he wins that election, we should support them with prayers, with encouragement. If we have ideas, present it constructively and all that and all that. But a man cannot go through. This is one man who wanted to be president in the last how many years? Tried it 4 times. As far as I'm concerned, he's doing okay until we face the next election and all that. Now, one of the things that also annoys me is that when he wanted to go about this and when he just assumed power, there was so much noise about, oh, this man's high-handedness is going to jail everybody. And the man came to the realization, oh, this is democracy. When I was a military man, I would pick you up, put you behind bars, and you justify why you should not be there. But now, the game has changed. I have to
follow due process.
Absolutely. And following due process takes time.
Yeah. and our justice dispensation is
Absolutely.
very slow. We have a caller, Abdul, calling from Abuja. Good morning, Abdul. Welcome to the program. Habib, I beg your pardon.
Hello?
Hello, Habib. Good morning. Welcome.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning to the gentleman.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
First and foremost, I'd like to support Mr. Chos on what he said about leaders. The fact remains that everybody is a leader in the little circle that, like when you make the analogy of a family, a man that cannot make peace or being kind of unjust between two wives or even more. How do you think that kind of man can even rule or guide the whole community? I think when it comes to corruption, the people themselves need to change their mentality. Let me quickly give you this analogy. If you've been to Ojota, the old bridge, the old pedestrian bridge that they did, it has two lanes, one for going and one for coming. If you find somebody coming in the opposite direction and you going up in the right direction and you're telling the other person that you shouldn't be taking here, you discover that we'll be telling you that what's your own concern. And if you try to challenge the person, the people at the back themselves will be the ones telling you that leave him alone, leave him alone.
Absolutely.
So you discover that the people themselves
are
not yet made that kind of mindset, reformatted their mindset to fight any kind of injustice or any corruption. Because when the president came in, he said he wants to fight corruption. But among day-to-day activities, have we really kind of changed that lifestyle of bribing, of you have to know somebody before you get a job? It's part of corruption. Because you take it or leave it. Corruption is going to consume Nigeria if you don't consume corruption itself.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Habib. Thank you very much for your time. Well, you are now saying that now, as citizens, we have not been good followers. And now let's looking at this fight against corruption now. There's also this perception that some people feel that it's selective. Maybe that is why the citizens have been skeptical, because they feel this is a selective fight against corruption. And again, that the institutions that are supposed to fight corruption are weak. If you look at the EFCC...
Whose fault is that?
Well, that...
How did you arrive on this this morning?
Well, the citizens will also tell you that it is not their fault that the institutions have not been strengthened.
Life is selective. The life that you're living is selective. There are people you went to bed with last night. They are not alive. They're on the other side. You're on the other side of the grave this morning, and it's a great day for you. That is selective. Life is selective. There are people who want to sit. There are many people in this organization who would love to see where you're sitting. But your guy here, say, Femi, you are the one hosting this event, this program this morning. I got a call to be here this morning. Life is selective. That is what I'm saying, that we need to improve our capacity. If our brains have not been harvested, we must always think rightly. Look, with the gift that God has given to me, I desire to be in certain places, but it's not given to me, and there's nothing I can do about it. The highest I can do is to desire it and pray about it. Femi, I desire to be in some certain places. I get up in the morning, there are prayers that I'm praying. There are some people who are not praying it. It's just given to them. Do you understand what I'm saying? The effort that I'm making to work hard before I retire, I'm trusting that it will work. Life is selective. It's hard to understand. I came from the family where I came from, not because I wanted to. I am from this country. I can't change it. I've been, many years ago in my life as a young person, I wanted to change it. I wanted to go to America. I wanted to live in America. It wasn't possible because I thought that's a good place to come from. But I came from Nigeria. I'm sure the same applies. So in fighting corruption, the man has to fight it the way he feels like fighting it. In fact, he's a human being. He's not perfect.
And people say the fight is targeting perceived opponents or members of opposition parties. Absolutely. And is that a good strategy?
I don't know whether it's good, but I'm saying that that's how life is.
We have a caller from Abuja. We'll come back to that. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my brother. My name is Gerald.
Welcome, Gerald.
From Abuja.
All right, go on with your contribution.
Let me declare that I think his name is Mr. Nwoko, right? The gentleman guest in suit, right?
Yes, Mr. Chuks Nwoko.
Mr. Chuks, let me declare that I am in love with you. Let me declare that if I were a lady or we were in the U.S., I'm glad we're not in the U.S., I will force you to make me your second wife. I assume you are married.
All right, thank you, Gerald.
Thank you, sir.
To the issue, let me start with the selective thing. I've always argued that it's either ignorance or mischief that is the problem of Nigeria. the inimitable Miss Shola, Salako Ajulo on air yesterday during, her platform took the same position of Mr. Chooks, and that's what I'm taking. Those who are crying wolf that the president is fighting selectively, I don't think they are acting in the best interest of Nigeria. It is either ignorance or they are just part of the old order that have brought us to where we are. Why do I say that? Let's even look at the politics of it. The government is, facing a major, position right now because the old order, PDP and others, he is proceeding against them. Can you imagine, gentlemen, politically speaking right now, what will happen? Will Buhari still remain in government if he actually, I'm talking politics, proceeded against, as he's proceeding against, Bukola Saraki, against, Tinubu, against, Rotimi Amechi, the people that brought him, naturally they will team up, with this old order, and that man will be impeached and knocked out overnight. So, necessarily, let the man fight selectively. When the next government comes in, if they fight selectively and we will normalize. Let me quickly disagree respectfully with the other guests who say that we are fighting corrupt people and not, corruption. He mentioned that Buhari, actually started enforcing, TSA. That is one process. So he has, actually, that's one method of fighting corruption. I am arguing that you cannot fight one and leave the other. Even in the U.S., as institutionalized, as digitalized as they are still fighting corrupt people. You cannot fight corruption without fighting corrupt people.
Thank you, Gerald.
Fighting it.
Point taken. I'll let you quickly react to that.
Yes, let me react. You see, when you asked me about a kind of differentiation I made in the book, I didn't set out to criticize the government. I didn't. I was just looking at the thing from, just a free-minded point of view. I said there is a way of fighting corruption which will target those who have become corrupt or who have been known to be corrupt. Then there is the other part of it, which is instituting structures that will not allow people, that will make corruption not attractive. It is possible. Now, I said the government is doing its best by targeting people who have been known to be, or who are alleged, or who are deemed to be corrupt. Then on the other side, I said this government has also done very well by bringing up TSA, which is an institutional structure to help fight corruption. So I have not said that the government is doing the thing from both angles. So the point is, let me tell you, for me as an individual, I doff my cap for Buhari for taking a bold step in this corruption fight. Because let me point out that he is not the first person that started. It was Obasanjo, as you pointed out. It was Obasanjo that instituted the EFCC, and his aim was to fight corruption. But maybe along the line he didn't do it the way
But right from the time of Obasanjo, yes, it was usually it was perceived that he will also use the EFCC as a tool to maybe cage his political enemies. But now I'm still focusing on this book. Now, in chapter 1, of course, that is about politics. You talked about election, governance, and public attitude, and that is one thing he has been happy on, public attitude. That as citizens, we have also not been very good followers, supportive of leadership, or even providing leadership in our own little space as citizens.
No, I disagree that Nigerians are not good followers. I totally disagree. I have lived in Kenya. I lived and worked in Kenya.
Hold your thoughts. We have Shuaib calling from Kenya. I would come back to that.
Okay, from Kenya.
From Ibadan. I beg your pardon.
Hello?
Hello, Shuaib. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Welcome to the program.
Yeah, my name is Shoaib Ali. I'm calling from Ibadan.
Go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, Nigerians, we're supposed to understand Nigerian has divided into many factions. The faction of progressive, the people who really have the Nigerian in mind, separate. A team that who believe they inherit the Nigerian and the Nigerian property are also different. This government come on board to fight corruption. Then other people, corrupt people, will team up and be telling the government, this is the next person that you're supposed to fight. This is the next person that you're supposed to fight. Which those people will not come out with the facts that this person is corrupt. Tender the facts to government or go to any relevant court and tender this fact that the next person is corrupt. Nobody does that. The language for the looters is that when people say that former secretary to the government of the federation is corrupt, tender the fact, Buhari does something. At least he removed him. We saw the last former Senate president, which is secretary to the government of federation, accused of corruption. He was still serving until the government ended. Nothing happened. So I want Nigerians to understand that the looters, those people who destroyed this country, those people who wanted to remain tapping from the resource of this country as if it's their own inherited alone, still at work.
All right. All right, thank you. Well, he is also talking about understanding on the part of Nigerians as citizens, and you're disagreeing with his own standpoint on public attitude.
I totally disagree with any statement that Nigerians are not good followers. I don't.
Maybe not so cooperative, not that they are totally bad.
Yes, whatever.
I didn't say that they are bad. We just need
just maybe not
that they are not
too cooperative.
Good followers.
Let's talk about the cooperation now with leaders.
I don't agree. And I want to give example with an African country, Kenya, where I have lived and associated with the people in the city and in the rural areas. Now, do you know that in Kenya, you don't just take light without telling them. They will go on a protest. You don't take water. I lived in Kenya, all over Nairobi. I was surprised I got into a village near Mount Kenya where I was doing consultancy. And I saw that their tap is all over the place. And people are using it for irrigation. It's a dry area. Now, you don't deny a typical Kenyan, the basic thing he thinks that government should provide, and he keeps quiet. But the reverse is the case in Nigeria. Here are Nigerians who kind of take care of themselves 100%, or largely take care of themselves. Is it water? I have asked on many fora, how many people in this forum use public water supply in their homes? And not even one person. All of us here. Is there, you and I, there are 3 of us here. How many of us are using public water supply? We don't. We're either using borehole or something private. And
Oduola from Ikeja. Good morning, Oduola. Sorry.
And House of Prayer. House of Assembly and House of Prayer. Yeah?
Good morning, Oduola. Welcome to the program. Hi, good
morning. Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Welcome to the program.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Can you hear me clearly?
Loud and clear. Go ahead with your contribution.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me clearly now? Can you hear me clearly? All right. The problem we have in Nigeria, I don't live here. The problem we have, my whole contribution is House of Assembly should be scrapped. And House of Rep should be scrapped. They are thieves. Look at the money that the president is taking as his own salary. Look.
Okay, well, Oduola, those institutions you just mentioned, they don't exist for the fun of it. They are there for specific reasons, of course, in a democratic settings like we have here in Nigeria. Yes, and on this program, we want to have our callers to mind their language, keep it in good taste. Thank you. I didn't interrupt you.
I say, look at Nigeria, where people do virtually everything for themselves, and without complaining. We provide water, we provide light, provide food, hospital, whatever. It is your personal effort. If you don't provide it, you can die off. Now, let me give an example with Lagos State. Since they brought these BRT buses, there is nowhere. When I studied in Unilag here, I came to Lagos in 1980. During that period, to enter bus, you have to struggle and jump upon one another. This Mulue and Bolekeja and all of them.
About the BRT.
But today, go all over Lagos, wherever there's a BRT, people queue up. And it's quiet. You enter.
That is change.
That is change. That is followership. Nobody is struggling to enter those buses any longer. That is change. So listen to me. What Nigerians need is just a little direction. There must be structure for any society to live and exist and develop. Individuals, in as much as you, is your father that sent you to school, the same thing, my illiterate father saw the need for education and he sent me, he was the person who supported me. I never had any scholarship in my life. So what Nigerians need is little direction. Nigerians are ready to obey. Nigerians are ready to follow. And Nigerians are working. In fact, let me tell you, this economy is held by Nigerians.
We have Maxwell.
Okay,
Maxwell is on the line. Good morning, Maxwell. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, my brother, and good morning to the two elderly brothers there.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Oh, we lost that call. So you said all Nigerians need is someone to point them in that direction. And they are willing to follow. They are willing to obey.
Sorry for interjecting. If you have children in your house and you have a very rich neighbor who provides maybe a politician and all that, your children sees them driving cars and going abroad and all that, do your children stop being respectful to you because you do not provide what your politician...
They don't.
So the Kenyan example does not, connect here, that they provide water for them, then we do not provide. Because I see some documentaries of what is going on in Kenya, in suburbs of Kenya. The point here is that your children cannot stop being good children because by nature they are good children.
Yes.
Because you are not providing holidays to Dubai or to the US for them. The way we are born and the way we have existed in this country, our existence has been hinged on the core values that hold society together: faithfulness, hard work, respect, dignity, integrity, and all those things. It has nothing to do with external behavior of irresponsible government and all that and all that. Where I come from, the market in my village, in my town, was built by the locals. The comprehensive secondary school we have in that was built by us. It was after we built it that the government started regulating it and all that and all that. What I'm saying here is very simple. We must support our government.
All the way. Yes. Okay, we have Femi calling from Surulere. Good morning, Femi.
Hello, good morning, all of you.
What?
My son is that this young Scott is we see another area that we have to take consideration.
Oh, I apologize, Femi. We can't take your call. That line is pretty bad. Okay, talking about fate of post-election troublemakers. That is also one of the issues you highlighted in your book, Politics, Fate of Post-Election Troublemakers. We've had elections come and go, people involved in electoral malpractices, rigging and all the rest. And sometimes most of these people, these election offenders, are apprehended. But what happens afterwards has not really been a deterrent. Is that what you're trying to point out here?
I'm trying to. If there is example set with some people, because the issue of election trouble didn't start now. I was in primary school when my father went on in the 60s. My father, they went to our local government to go and vote. This that time was Action Group and NPNCNC. you know, those were what we were hearing as children that time. Yeah. My father they went to our local government to go and vote. And when they came back in the evening, they said that the ballot boxes caught fire. The ballot boxes of the opponent, the party they don't want, caught fire. Do you know that is the origin of putting one ballot box for everybody, all the parties? Yeah. So what I'm saying is, there has always been troublemakers in elections from the beginning. Now, there is need to have rules and regulations or deterrents that will make people, these things not unattractive.
Okay, then thank you very much for that. Well, we're out of time. I'll really have to go. Your book, The Change We Need. When will this be presented to the public?
The book is to be presented tomorrow, Thursday, 3rd of May, at the Banker's House in VI from 11 o'clock.
All right, then we must thank you very much, Dr. Luke Onyekakeya. Thank you very much. He's the publisher of the book, The Change We Need. And also Chuks Nwoko. He is also the publisher of the Millennium Development Goals magazine and a public affairs analyst. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's it on the program today. You can watch a repeat of this program later in the night on the same station. My name is Femi Akonde. See you next time.